So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on Super Mario 64. Now, if you haven't watched that yet, you totally should, but in that video I mentioned that Super Mario 64 is quite possibly the first game I ever played. You'll also know if you watched my new Super Mario Bros. DS video that game was the first game I ever fully owned. But not long after that followed Super Mario 64 DS, the full DS remake of the original N64 title. I know I said I put a lot of time into Super Mario 64, but my playtime in the remake makes that look like a joke. As a kid, my DS was never more than a few feet away from me, and if I wasn't playing New Super Mario Bros. Or Battles Ninjago, it's a pretty safe bet that I was playing Super Mario 64 DS. Oddly enough, even though I had way more time in the remake as a kid, in more recent years I've barely touched it, opting rather to play the original because it's just been more convenient. Well, thanks to the Wii U Virtual Console, that's no longer really of any concern. I'm really interested to finally 100% this game for the first time, so let's do it. In Super Mario 64 DS, you play as, of course, Yoshi. Okay, so this game changes up quite a bit from the original story. You actually don't start out as Mario, you start out as Yoshi, now on a quest to rescue not only Princess Peach, but Mario, Luigi, and Wario. I always thought it was an odd choice to start out a Mario game playing as not Mario, but I don't think it's a bad one. I really like Yoshi in this game. He platforms very similarly to Mario with the addition of a useful flutter jump, and can swallow enemies and shoot eggs as projectiles. He's all around a pretty well-rounded character to play as. Pretty soon after you start playing, you can unlock Mario, and Luigi and Wario follow after. To unlock each character, you actually get to play through 3 different, completely original stages, which are some of my favorites in the game. I've always loved the visual style of Mario's level, and the King Boo boss fight in Luigi's stage is really creative and a ton of fun to play. As you could probably infer, each character controls differently, and they all control almost exactly how you would expect. Luigi has a fly, floaty jump with slippery controls, and Wario is a slow tank who's great at combat but sucks at platforming, with Mario acting as kind of a middleman. Personally, I prefer playing as Mario, but everybody will have their own preference, and I think the ability to choose your playstyle is a solid improvement. The thing that almost ruins this new system is the character-specific stars. You see, in this game, the wing cap, invisibility cap, and metal cap are all character exclusive, meaning that a very large amount of the stars in the game are also character exclusive. Now, this could have easily ruined the game had they not taken serious steps to mitigate having to swap out characters constantly. Thankfully, they did just that with the character caps. The character caps allow any character to transform into a different character until they take a hit or exit the world. Yoshi can even start each world with any character cap, meaning for almost 100% of my playthrough, I was actually just playing as Yoshi with a cap on. It's super convenient. Of course, multiple unlockable characters with exclusive stars introduces a measure of backtracking that some people might not like. If you're like me, you can easily cut down on the backtracking by taking steps to immediately unlock every character after completing the first floor. Problem solved. Okay, so that's all great, but besides the story, what else did this remake change? Well, for starters, this game saw what I believe to be a significant graphical improvement. Even with the low-resolution screen blown up to 1080p, I still think the reworked character models and animations blow away the low-poly style of the original N64 game, especially since they were designed at a time when Nintendo had pretty much figured out what their characters look like in 3D. One thing that changed drastically in the remake is the control scheme. Of course, the DS doesn't have an analog stick, meaning that this open exploration-centered 3D game is controlled with a D-pad. Now, I'm sure to some people that might sound like a deal breaker, but hear me out, it isn't that bad. Yes, controlling the game with an actual D-pad is definitely not for me, but fortunately, you don't have to. If you're playing on the Wii U, you can control the game with the analog stick. Of course, remapping an analog stick to a D-pad is less than ideal given that the actual game doesn't support analog control, but I still find it more intuitive than using 4 buttons to move around in a 3D space. Personally, I think the best way to play this game is with the 3DS Circle Pad. I've always thought of the Circle Pad as sort of a 3D D-pad. It's much more intuitive to control a 3D game with, yet it doesn't necessarily give you the expectation of full analog control like a proper analog stick, making it perfect for this game in my opinion. Of course, this remake introduces a slew of other improvements, like the completely overhauled camera controls that blow the first game out of the water without breaking a sweat. This game also features 150 stars, 30 more than the N64 original. Some of these stars come from the 3 character stages, some come from the 2 extra new stages, and the rest were added to already existing levels in the game as either time switch star challenges or silver star challenges, where you have to try to collect 5 silver stars and take them back to these glass spheres without taking any damage. Every new star is a solid addition to the original game. Honestly, the only thing that I would change is I would love to see more original levels. The 5 we got were some of the best and most interesting parts of the game for me. They also took the liberty to go ahead and improve a lot on the original levels, like adding bottom sections to Tick-Tock Clock and Womp's Fortress, and adding a power flower to the roof of Big Boo's Haunt to make it easier to grab this star. In addition to this, things like improved cannon and wing cap control make even unchanged stages a lot easier and less frustrating to get through. Shifting Sandland was one of my least favorite levels in the original game, but I barely had any problem with it in the remake. Honestly, the only change they made to the original stage design I didn't like was the fact that they decided to wall off the exit to the slide in Tall Tall Mountain for some reason, meaning once you enter the slide, you can't get back out without leaving the world, making it a lot harder to collect the 100 coin star. In my opinion, Super Mario 64 DS is almost the perfect example of what a remake should be. It improves on almost everything it could possibly improve on without managing to take away anything that made the original game great. Certainly, I might be a little biased here, but I can confidently say I think this is the definitive version of Super Mario 64, and that's without even covering things like the 4-person local multiplayer and the fantastic assortment of minigames that are included. Funnily enough, the remake and the N64 original both cost the exact same amount on the Wii U, so if you're a big fan of the N64 game, I seriously recommend checking out Super Mario 64 DS. And if not, an original DS cartridge is barely much more online. Either way, I definitely think this is a game every Mario fan needs to experience, even if you opt to play as Yoshi. I know I literally just did Super Mario 64 like a week ago, but I intentionally wanted to play this game close to playing the other game so I could have the other game fresh on my mind so I could easily compare and contrast, the changes and which one I think feels better while everything is fresh in my mind. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making this one. I really enjoyed getting to finally 100% complete this game because, it's one of my favorites. If you did enjoy the video, remember to like it, subscribe, ring the bell, comment down below. Have you ever played this game? Let me know. I love reading comments, and of course, you can follow me on social media. All of that's linked down in the description, and I guess that's about all I got for you. Thanks for watching.